What is it like for the parents once they get their kid back? Let's we're dealing with a juvenile. What is the process to help them process what the hell just happened to their kid?
There is definitely a lot of parents with lived experience of their kid being trafficked coming forward. I know that right now in Arizona, we're going through the trial with Backpage, and part of that was all of these parents coming forward. One of the victims' mother, I'm sorry, one of the victims actually was murdered, and her mother is testifying. And so it's huge. I do think we're lacking in the support system for family that goes through all of this. We're doing a better job getting support for victims. We're still not totally solved that problem yet, but we definitely really need to work on family support also.
Okay. That may be another episode that I want to do. You just gave me a good idea
Yeah.
because that is, I'm trying to, through this show, this is one of the cool things about doing this podcast. And I think you are going to say the same thing about what you're doing. As I go, I have my set of expertise, but I find myself learning and discovering new ways to help or new ways to attack things that I never considered. And I don't think I would have ever considered had I not done what I'm doing here. So families and like that's not a topic I would have ever thought to cover. But while we were talking, I'm like, I'm a parent. I couldn't imagine what I would do when you bring my daughter to my front steps saying, we got your daughter back. She's held, she's safe and sound, but she's had hundreds of people have sex with her, like, and she's addicted to dope and all these things. Like,
Yeah.
how do you begin to even tell that? Is that something you had to do personally? Like,
So
explain
there,
this stuff?
well, I mean, a lot of times it is in that interview with the juvenile where they're like, "Are you going to tell my mom about what happened?" And
Yeah,
it's, one of those things where I kind of put it to them that everything's public record that we do. I'm not wanting to share details. I'm going to have to call your mom and tell her we've been talking, and give you back to her. But I'll let you tell her, what you feel you want to tell her. But I'm going to have to give her a gist of some kind to prepare her for what you need.
yeah,
Whether you just had a SANE exam and now you have prescriptions to fill for STDs, we're going to have to talk about that with your mom. So it's where I think honesty in that interview and answering their questions, and that's another thing I teach on when I talk about interviewing these victims, is being prepared for their questions that they're going to ask you.
yeah. Shit, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That oh, I'm depressed now because now you got me thinking of my kids, and I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine going through that. And you know, cops' kids are some of the most susceptible to doing some bullshit, just like preachers' kids. I
Yes.
don't know what the deal is.
Yes.
As being a cop's kid myself, I did a lot of dumb shit when I was a kid. So,
Yeah. It's one of those things that I keep telling parents, and that's part of the community awareness side of this, is having these conversations early, putting tools in place. Like, I'm an affiliate for Bark Technologies and for Gab Wireless. And those are two companies that developed phones that look like smartphones, touchscreen, all that, but they're actually controlled by the app and the device. And it'll notify parents if someone's trying to ask them to send nudie photos or talk to them inappropriately, or they download a new app, that wasn't approved by the parents. And I think having that tool, having the conversations, and having the expectation that, and the open door policy that we need to talk about the people you're talking to on a regular, and not being so, you guys go to your room, I'm going to watch TV or wind down from the day, and they're off in their room doing who knows what and getting encouraged by who knows who.
yeah, yeah. I'm guilty of it myself, and I know better. And
Yeah.
I've actually taken steps. I'm actually my oldest. She's 14.
Mm.
Taking
Yikes,
her.
two girls.
Yeah, two girls. Yep. And I'm taking her to CACU, our Crimes Against Children unit,
Yeah.
specifically the internet crimes, and just gonna have her do a little, not interview, but tour, see what it's
Yeah.
like, and it's one thing when you hear it from your dad, but it's totally different when you're hearing it from somebody else that does it on the daily and can explain it, a lot better than
Yeah.
I'll be able to. So,
Yeah, and there's new movies coming out, like Wake Up. The Wake Up movie is coming out. I think it comes out August 23rd. That's another really good movie based on a true story of a girl that was trafficked as a juvenile. Our documentary, The Sound of Freedom, and Taken, and those types of movies are all good, but they kind of like give this perception that it's an abduction. And I really want people to
yeah,
understand that's like maybe 15% of how this happens. The other percent of how this happens is the coercion, the false promises,
yeah,
the grooming
yeah. That
and
brainwashing them
yeah,
for yeah. It's a very long play manipulation that obviously
yeah.
works. And the money that's made like
Mm-hmm.
is insane. What is a typical uh sex act like? What are people